Hello and welcome to the second of our special mini tutorials on the Native Instruments Traktor Kontrol S8 DJ controller. These 6 tutorials are designed to give you an overview of some of the advanced features of the controller and to help you if you're thinking about going down this route to decide if it's the right way for you. So in the first of these tutorials, we looked at the transport controls. We looked at how you use the Traktor Kontrol S8 to move around your files and to mix with your files when there are no jog wheels. Something of special interest to people coming to this from vinyl or CDJs or from other controllers that do have jog wheels. Hopefully that tutorial helped you to realize that it isn't such a big leap to touch strips and buttons from jog wheels and pitch faders. In this tutorial, we're going to look at the external inputs, what you can plug into the Kontrol S8 to make it kind of bigger than just a DJ controller and a laptop. How you can add back jog wheels by using a digital vinyl system, for instance. How you can use it to mix with normal audio CDs, maybe another DJ who doesn't use a computer. How you can use your smartphone to make the switch between DJs using 2 laptops and 2 completely separate copies of Traktor utterly seamless. How to use a microphone. We're covering all that kind of thing this week. So here's a hybrid system if ever we saw one. Naturally at the heart of it we have our Kontrol S8. I have a record deck here. There's a Pioneer CDJ there. Lurking at the back is my mobile phone. It's a representation of having a backup device, an MP3 player or something in case everything goes down. But I'm going to show you another use for that in a minute. And then lurking over on the monitor speaker is a microphone. I'm going to show you all the microphone routing as well. So the first thing I want to show you is how to use Timecode, how to turn this record deck into a Traktor digital vinyl deck and control one of our channels on Traktor using our piece of Timecode vinyl. Well, the first thing we need to do is plug it in. That's really easy. There are 4 sets of inputs for line and phono inputs at the back of here, corresponding to the 4 channels. I'm going to put the track onto channel D. So I've already plugged it into channel D. This is going straight to my record deck. If it were a Technics deck, I would probably have a single earth lead which connects to the earth pole here to stop buzzing and humming. Worth bearing in mind that there is a line phono switch to switch from standard record deck output to CDJ or line level output. I've actually got it set to line here because I'm using a reloop turntable that can output at line level. It's got a phono preamp built in, but you might well have to set that to phono. Traktor's quite good at telling you if it thinks your level's too high because you've got that set wrong. So all plugged in, I can put my piece of control vinyl onto the deck. I've already loaded a track up there. A couple of other things that I need to do. Head to the letter of the deck D here, and click the down button and switch from internal playback to scratch mode. You've now told it you want to scratch, and the cue and cut buttons, which we can see on the deck above, have now been replaced by the relative and absolute modes for timecode. And if you're not a timecode familiar person, don't worry about that. It's just a couple of different ways of using this vinyl. But the important thing is that we're now honestly completely set up. There's very little else to do apart from press on and watch it all work. You'll see it will be flashing for a little bit sometimes to tell you it's calibrating. In this instance it didn't even have to do that. And to check that it's calibrated properly, we can go into our preferences and the deck's layout area, and there's a platter stroke scope zone. In here we can choose our deck D, and I'm going to go to platter and close that. So now our deck has got a rotating platter which is showing what I'm doing on the vinyl, but also if I click on it you can see the calibration, and that's perfect. The blue circle all the way out to the edge and the diagonal orange line is telling you it's all calibrated correctly. If you are trying to set up timecode and you can't get it to work, you know, you're pressing start and stop on here and you're doing this and it's just not behaving as it should, then go and check in that area and make sure that that's how it should be. By clicking on there we can go between the platter and the scope view. And that's how easy it is to set up and use timecode. Now obviously you'd probably have 2 decks, one on each side, but in this instance I've set up a CDJ on the other side in order to show you the next thing, which is playing normal standalone stuff through the Traktor Kontrol S8. So here's a scenario for you. You set yourself up to play a party, you've maybe got your timecode stuff, or maybe not, but whatever it is, you're using Traktor all the way through, but your friend who you're playing at the party with wants to DJ from usual old-fashioned audio CDs in a pair of Pioneers, and they want to plug into your Kontrol S8. Absolutely no problem at all. You plug them in, same old RCA cables, set it to line into the channels you want them to use. In this instance, I've set it on to channel C, and then by selecting live input from the menu, by clicking the letter on the track deck, as per before when we're setting up timecode, by setting live input there, you turn off the waveforms and you turn off the software deck and instead turn on whatever you have plugged in. So now I've got my music playing through there absolutely fine. Now, the thing to bear in mind here is that Traktor is still processing that audio. The filters would work anyway. However, our effects are all working. Even though we're just playing an audio CD, nothing to do with our software, everything to do with Traktor's digital processing is happening. And what's actually happening here technically is that the audio is going through the cable into here, it's heading up the USB, it's being processed by Traktor, coming back, being turned back into normal audio signals and sent out. Now that means Traktor can record your DJ set for you, whether you're playing from vinyl, CD, or from Traktor internally. It doesn't mind, it'll record the whole lot. So in other words, you and your friends playing can record what you're doing together happily without having to worry about the fact that some of you are using analog gear and some of you are using digital gear. It can handle it. So what if we want to use more than one DJ using more than one laptop and more than one copy of Traktor, and we don't want the music to stop? Well, that's possible as well, and it uses another function which goes a step further than what we just did with our analog inputs, and it turns this into a true standalone mixer where the signal isn't being processed and sent up your USB to Traktor at all. This is just operating as a normal mixer, just like any analog mixer would. And using that, we can do a little workaround which will allow us to switch DJs. And I'll show you really simply. Let's start a track playing internally in Traktor. Let's just get a track playing on here. So this represents DJ A, if you like, finishing his or her set. And you want to do a switch and you don't want there to be any gaps in the music. So you could use a CDJ to do this. I'm actually going to use my phone because quite typically this is how a lot of this stuff is done nowadays, with either a backup source or a full mix or whatever on a phone. I've got Traktor DJ on here just to keep it in the family, and I've got a track lined up in Traktor DJ. So in order to switch from the internal sound to what I've got lined up here, in order that the DJ can unplug his or her computer and the next DJ can plug in without any interruptions at all, is something that just takes a tiny bit of setting up. So the first thing we need to do is plug this in. I've plugged it into channel A, just because I have. And the real key thing here is that those little buttons there, the ones that you want the external input to work on, are switched off. This is a Traktor button. So let's turn off that button on that channel. And that's now not a Traktor channel anymore. That is now a channel that is totally taking what's been playing on here into here as an analog source. So if I were to fade that channel up, get myself ready here and get myself ready on the play button here, I will attempt to do it kind of on the beat. There we go. Traktor DJ is now playing through here. Quite similar to what we did with the CDJ really, but there is a really big difference. Because while Traktor DJ plays away there, I can unplug that USB. And the music carries on completely without an issue. Now my DJ can take his or her computer and disappear. And then the next DJ comes in with their computer, plugs in. I'm sorry guys, the next DJ is me today. Sorry, you get more of the same. And if they find their USB, plug in. The system takes a few seconds once you plug the USB in again to recognize the other copy of Traktor. because I've plugged my own one in, it's actually recognised where I was on the existing track, which is pretty impressive. And then it's just up to you to get yourself lined up, and when you're ready to play, you're off. And you switch DJs without any gap in the music, using nothing more than a smartphone, an MP3 player, or indeed one of the CDJs or whatever else you happen to have there, by switching off the Traktor button. So there's effectively two ways of getting external music through. You put them through Traktor itself using a live input, or you use the direct through way, which I just showed you there. So I've covered internal mixing to timecode, to using a direct through, so you can actually unplug your USB and switch DJs, or to using your external sources just through Traktor as a live input, so you can record it and use the effects and so on. The final part of the jigsaw really is using a microphone. Now this is my XLR lead from a professional microphone plugged into microphone 2 at the back here, which is an XLR input. Microphone 1 is a TRS input. So get your microphone plugged in around the back there, make sure it's turned off of course, and then let's look at how you can get this to sound. Now there isn't a separate channel from the 4 Traktor channels like on some DJ mixers for microphones. Instead you route it to one of the channels that you're not currently using, and it won't let you switch to a channel that you are currently using, so that's a good thing to know. By holding down the microphone button of the microphone input that you're using, Traktor will tell you where the microphone is currently set. I've held that down for a second, and it's telling me it's on channel D by putting the channel D orange Traktor button bright green. But that's only told me that that's where it's set. In order to switch it on, I press that button, and now the microphone button in the middle is set bright, as is that button. That means my microphone is now switched on that channel. Turn the mic on. Hello, we're off. You might have heard a bit of reverb there. That's because I'm using the effects. The effects will work fine. It's on a pure standard Traktor channel. It's being fed through Traktor just the same way as any other live input would be. And it was switched in the software to a live channel automatically when I pressed that microphone button. So in other words, I didn't have to do anything extra by going to the software and clicking on the channels letter like I did previously in this video. It just happens automatically. Now, if you want to not use the live input and you want to use a direct through for the microphone, you press the button again. It's now set to direct through. It tells you that on the screen, and also that means that you can unplug your computer entirely and the microphone will still work on that channel. So I hope that answers some of your questions. I know it's answered a lot of the questions that we've been asked about the unit here at Digital DJ Tips, but if you do have questions, please feel free to ask them. The best place is in the comments underneath the blog article, so head on over there and we'll be more than happy to try and find answers for you. Thanks a lot for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next mini tutorial.